Have you ever wondered which case is the best one to open in CS2? Or maybe thought to yourself, which case can I open to at least get most of my money back? Well, in this video, we are going through the best and most profitable cases to open in CS2. I have divided the best CS2 cases into 3 categories: highest ROI, highest profit chance, and best overall cases to open. Highest ROI stands for return on investment. Basically, when you purchase a case to open, ROI will tell you in percentage how much of that cost you on average get back from opening that case. For example, let's take a look at the Chroma case, which has an ROI of 55%. The total cost of this case, including a key, will be around $6.33. Multiplying that with the 55% will on average give you back around half the amount, or in this case $3.48. An easy way of remembering this is that the higher the ROI equals better chance of getting your money back. However, we're not just looking to get our money back. We open cases because we want a knife or at least some good profit. That's where the highest profit chance come in. This percentage shows us the likelihood of being profitable. In other words, how likely is it that we get a skin worth more than the price we paid for both the case and the key combined. The Chroma case from our previous example is currently sitting at a very low 5.19% chance, and if you open it, you need to get at least the pinks, a red, or a knife to be profitable. Lastly, when explaining the best overall cases to open, I will mention something called profit in percentage. Basically, what I mean by this is that I take the average price of a skin from the case that I'm talking about and calculate the profit we get based on the case price, giving us a profit from opening that case shown in percentage for each skin. This way we can see which cases are the optimal cases to open for different kinds of outcomes, not purely based on price or knives, but also based on what you have to pay for the case itself. Now that everything is explained, let's start with the first category, which is the highest ROI. Now, the highest ROI case in CS2 at the moment is actually the gallery case, with a really good 84% return on investment. The gallery case actually beats the kilowatt case, which was the best in this category last time, by a whole 8%, and it also beats third place, the weapon case 3, by 13%, which is a significant difference. Next up on the list we have the Wildfire and Vanguard case. Both are hovering around 67%, and completing the top 10 highest ROI list we have the Esports 2013 Winter case, weapon case 2, Horizon, Shadow, and Prisma case, all of which sits between 63 to 67% ROI. However, as we mentioned previously, we are not only looking for return on our investment, as opening cases are not really an investment, it's gambling. So we want to know which cases are the most profitable to open in CS2, bringing us to the next category, highest profit chance. And even though the gallery case has the highest ROI, it is far from being the most profitable case to open. It actually sits in 5th place with a decent chance of 7.47%. And that might not sound like much, and that's because it isn't. But none of the CS2 cases have a high profit chance, so it's decent based on the other options we have. Standing as the proud winner of this category is the Esports 2013 Winter case, with a much higher profit percentage of 12.9%. Even though its return on investment is only 67%, the chance of being profitable is almost 13, and it's the highest of all CS2 cases. I'm not including capsules, patches, and other containers in this video, but I might do so in a future video. The Esports 2013 Winter case may have the highest profit chance, but it's a lot more expensive than most regular cases, coming in at almost $11. So let's complete the top 10 list and see what more we have. The second and third highest profit chance cases are the Phoenix and weapon case 3, which cost quite a lot less at around $5 and $8 and sit at a steady 8% profit chance, which is considered somewhat good in this category. Completing the list, we have the Vanguard, Gallery, the Esports 2014 Summer case, the Shadow and Falchion case, and our last 2 spots go to the weapon case 2 and Operation Wildfire, all sitting with a profit percentage between 6 to 8%. Now that we have looked at both the best cases for ROI and the cases with the highest profit chance, let's do some math and take a look at my top picks for the best overall CS2 cases to open. Quickly, before I start, the actual best case depends on your interest in the outcomes, and so I will give you some choices to make it possible for you to pick which case you like the most. For this reason, I have gathered some data and calculated which skins are profitable and what percentage of profit they give based on the total cost of opening that specific case. Of course, I'm always including the case key, however, I will not include the mil-spec items as most people don't want to open blues anyways, so I've kept them out of my calculations and only focused on purple, pink, red, and golds. First up, for those of you who only want knives, we have the Vanguard case. I still view this as the best possible case to open if you're only going for knives and don't care about any other skins. As you might know, the Vanguard case contains old school knives, which are also found in, for example, the weapon case 2, 3, and Esports 2013 Winter case and the Phoenix case. All of these contain the same old school knives, meaning they also have the same average price of knives, but there is a huge difference in how much these cases cost to open, and the Vanguard case has the absolute lowest price of only $6 in total, and it also gives you a profit in percentage of 10,268%. This makes the Vanguard case a solid choice over the other cases that range from above $7 all the way up to $17, with the last one only giving off a profit in percentage of 3,558. Of course, that's not a small amount, but why would you pay $17 instead of $6 when it's the exact same knives? Well, actually there might be a valid reason for that, which brings me to the second option of the best case to open category, because even though some of you might only want to go for knives, some of you might also prefer a safer route in case you don't get a knife. In other words, you want the whole case to be somewhat profitable. If we begin looking at the skins in the cases, we can see that on average, every single skin in the Esports 2013 Winter case, except for the last purple, has a positive profit percentage. Even the last one only has a 9.4% loss, which is actually not that bad for a case. Meanwhile, if you get a purple in basically any other case, you'll end up with a loss. So if you try to open an expensive old school knife, but don't want to lose too much in case you don't manage to hit it, the Esports 2013 Winter case might be the best case for you. But what if you just want to make some profit and don't care about getting the most expensive knives? You just want to open a cheap case with a high chance of making a profit. Well, there are actually some cases that go under that description as well, bringing us to the third option for the best case to open category. Most people don't like the shadow daggers, and as a result, people often overlook the case. That's right, I'm talking about the shadow case. It might have really cheap knives, but it has some exceptional covert outcomes. If we take a look at the spreadsheet, we can see that getting a knife from the shadow case will give you a profit in percentage of 4,573, which is pretty decent, but what's actually insane about this case is that both the golden coil and kill confirmed has a profit in percentage of almost 2,500%. For comparison, the reds from the weapon case 2 and 3 are only at 341 and 4% respectively. The same goes for the Esports 2013 Winter case, where the covert skin is only 81%, and lastly the Phoenix case actually has one covert skin at 1,902, but also one at -41, so only the AWP Asimov is even close, but it is also a 50-50% of getting a straight up loss. Another thing to notice about the shadow case is that it doesn't only contain extraordinary covered skins, it also has some great classified skins, giving us well over 200 to almost 600% profit, meaning it is an overall great option if you want to hunt for profitable skins instead of knives. However, in this category, there are actually two more cases with similar or even better results. The first one is the new gallery case introduced in the Armory Pass. This case has a profit of almost 9,700 for the knives, and the coverts are extremely good. The Vapor Wave has an enormous profit in percentage of 5,271. On the other hand, the Gold Tooth is almost at 1,100, which is still extremely good, but it's also worse than the Shadow case. If you want to take the 50-50 risk for the Vapor Wave, that is not such a dumb move, since the Gallery case also has incredibly good classified skins, with over 200 to almost 800% profit. And if we count purples in, you'll lose on both the Shadow and Gallery case, but if you go for the Gallery case, you will lose a little bit less. The last case I want to mention in the best overall case to open is the Kilowatt case. But why? Well, let me explain. The Kilowatt case, just like the Gallery case, has the same knives, but it's cheaper to buy, which makes the knives inside the Kilowatt case more profitable than in the Gallery case. As you can see, just a 20-cent difference on the case price make the knives have almost 700% higher profit in percentage. The covered skins are also exceptionally fantastic options with over 2,100 and 4,300%. Of course, it also has some great classifieds ranging from almost 300 to almost 500%. But the purples are all a huge loss, which can make this case a hard selling point for some people. Now that we have explored some options, I want to give you all a final verdict and some thoughts around the best overall case to open. In general, if you want to balance between fantastic knives and good skins and don't care too much about the price, I would recommend the Esports 2013 Winter case because it's still the best option today and the best case for you. If you only care about getting a high tier knife and nothing else, but also want to do so in the cheapest way possible, the Vanguard case might be the best case for you as it has top quality knives and generally decent skin outcomes as well. If you don't care too much about getting high tier knives and just want a cheap case with a huge profit in percentage for the classified and covered skins, the Kilowatt, Gallery or Shadow case are the best options for you. Based on the case price, you will get a solid profit in percentage for all knives, and getting anything classified or covered will be a massive profit based on the case price. Lastly, honestly, my personal pick for the best overall case to open in CS2 goes to the kilowatt case. I know it might sound a bit weird, but in my defense, for the knives it has a profit percentage of over 10,300%, and the coverage either has over 2,100 or over 4,300. Not only that, but the classified are also decent, giving us a 3 to 500%. If we don't count in the purples and go for the classified, coverts or knives, this case is just an overall well-rounded option in my opinion, especially when we take into consideration that the kilowatt case is the cheapest of all the cases I have shown in this video. Of course, all of this is just statistics based on unboxed items and my own point of view. In reality, it doesn't really matter too much which case you open. If you open cases, you will likely not hit anything good, and that's just how gambling works. However, it might be insightful to know which cases in the long run have had the best chances for ROI or the highest profit chance. In the end, it all depends on what you want. If you want a profitable skin, there are cases with more expensive skins but cheaper knives, making the case cheap and effective for your need. On the other hand, some cases might have really cheap skins but top quality knives. The cases I used in this video might not be the best cases to open for absolutely everyone, but it should at least be a helpful guide. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and leave a like on the video, and as always, I will see you in the next one.